voila, bar is open, so it's time to review some Mexican beers. Hey there, SG Alcohol Guy here, giving you honest reviews on the alcohols that I am tasting. And as mentioned earlier, I'll be reviewing Mexican beers. Now, I usually do one beer review at a time, but it's a pretty warm day and I'm thirsty, so I'm doing 3. And the 3 that I'm doing today are pretty much the only 3 that I managed to get my hands on. Namely, the Corona beer, which I'm very sure everyone is familiar with. The Victoria beer, which I've never heard of, although it does have a 18 plus sign on the bottle cap, which I love. And a beer called the Pacifico Clara. So I heard of this cocktail Clara, which is beer with some syrup. Could be pineapple syrup, it could be peach syrup, but either way it's just a beer cocktail. But I did a bit of research, and this Pacifico beer is actually a pilsner, so it should sit in well with the lagers. And pricing, so starting with the Corona, this works out to roughly 380 Singapore dollars per bottle. For that, you get a 355 ml bottle with 4.5% alcohol content, followed by the 18 plus only Victoria beer. This works out to be about 5 Singapore dollars per bottle. For that, you will get a 355 ml bottle, just like the Corona, but this time with 4% alcohol content. And finally, the Pacifico Clara. Now this works out to be 590 Singapore dollars per bottle. For that, you also get a 355 ml bottle with 4.5% alcohol content. So exactly the same as the Corona. And with that, time to do taste test. And I'm going to open one bottle at a time so that the beer doesn't go flat too fast. Starting with the Corona. Hey, Corona. Now, when I pour my beers, I like to pour them a little bit more haphazardly. Main reason is I want the foam to form up in the glass as opposed to in my stomach. Now, color-wise, it's very nice, pale, very light pale colored. So it comes across as a very light tasting beer. Now, in many cases, people actually do pop a wedge of lime in the Coronas. Now, the concept for this is actually pretty simple. It started off simply because putting a lime wedge at the mouth of the bottle prevents flies from resting on the bottle, so you have a clean bottle to drink from. Right? But over time, it became like a taste preference. So what I'll be doing is I'll be having it by itself and then with some lime. Taste test 1. Corona. Much like the color, it's a very light beer. The bitterness comes at the back, but it's a very light, very mild bitterness. It's not a very sweet beer as well. You can just taste that hops finish, that hoppy finish, the bitter hoppy finish. But it's very pleasant, light beer, they can enjoy on a warm evening just like you. Now let's see how it tastes with lime. The taste isn't affected much, but there isn't that hoppy finish now. It's kind of overpowered by a bit of sourishness from the lime. The citrus flavor overpowers it. It doesn't make it better, but it's not making it worse. So it's just, if you have a lot of flies around where you're drinking, put the lime wedge there. Alright, so that's the Corona. Let's put it aside and try Victoria. Hello, Victoria. I am 18 plus. Likewise, I'm going to pour this a little bit more haphazardly. And immediately, you can see that the color is different. It's It's much darker. It's orange. It's not even a pale yellow anymore. I'm looking at the Corona versus this. It's crazy. You know, it's more like an ale rather than a lager or a pilsner. It doesn't say as much, although the words are in Spanish, so I can't actually read anything. Might have to use Google Translate on this one, but very interesting deep color, amberish orange color. It does seem pretty light around the edges, and I tend to notice that a bit. So I'm not expecting a nice long finish from this beer. But let's find out. Taste test 2, Victoria. Likewise, I'm going to pop the lime in first. It's not a light beer, it's a medium-bodied beer with, as expected, no finish. It doesn't even have a bitter finish, you know. It's just a more flavorful beer. There's more of an yeast flavor compared to the hoppiness of the Corona. So it can come across as a little bit sweeter. Although because of that yeastiness, it has a bit of a powdery aftertaste in the mouth, a texture rather in the mouth, which most of the time I'm not a fan of. So as of right now, between the Corona and the Victoria, I'll be choosing the Corona. But let's give it a shot with a wedge of lime because, you know, tons of flies in the house. Cheers. The lime neutralized the taste. It was sweet, a little bit sweet, and that yeastiness. The sour taste sort of cancelled that. So it's neither sweet nor sour now. It's just a more strong flavored water. Don't add lime to this, you're just wasting it. But moving on to the final one, the Pacifico Clara. Likewise, pour it a bit more haphazardly. Right, as you can see, most importantly is that, you know, I'm having all the foam in the glass, and I didn't burp too much even after taking big gulps, 4 big gulps from the cups and the bottles. So this is a very good way to pour the beer and make sure you can enjoy the drink without, you know, feeling too bloated. Now, color-wise, it's darker than the Corona. It looks a bit stronger flavored. Again, that's just a coloring, but it just gives that feel when you put it beside the Corona. But let's see how it tastes. It does taste more full-bodied. There's a harshness, a thickness to the texture in my mouth. Light bitter finish. I think they use very different hops from the Corona. There's a light, gentle bitter finish right in the middle of my throat. Very interesting. It's not even spreading. It's just right in the middle. It's like going down in one thin line. It is, however, very sweet in the mouth. I can feel it biting my gums, my teeth a little bit. So it's a very nice blend of sweetness and bitterness. As of right now, all 3 beers, I like this one. Let's see how it fares with some lime. So, and Pacifico with lime. Similar to the Victoria, the lime sort of neutralized the sweetness from the beer, but it made the bitterness more pronounced to the point it's tasting a little bit like a very light stout. That's pretty interesting. It's actually very enjoyable because I'm getting 2 very different beers just by adding a lime wedge in the bottle. So if I were to compare all 3, the Pacifico, the Victoria, and Corona, I would say that be it in a glass or in a bottle with a lime wedge, the Pacifico Clara beats the other two hands down. Ole! Thanks for watching up to this point. I just want to state that all these reviews, plus the bad Spanish, are my personal taste preferences and opinions. They're not to be used as an industry standard. I do, however, want to find out what you think. Which is your favorite Mexican beer? Have you tried other Mexican beers? Drop me some comments. Let's compare some notes. If you're still here, do help me click on the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell, because I do try to upload at least one new video every week. Plus, if you know of anyone interested in watching such reviews, do help me send them the link to the video as well. And as always, happy drinking!